Yes. All right. It's a lovely good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Samantha, and welcome to Elevate with Sammy. This is our third session, and today I would like us to welcome one of the most influential people of African descent, and she hails all the way from South Africa. Please kindly help me welcome Tebogo Masitu. Tebogo, welcome to Elevate with Sammy.
Hi, Sammy. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure having you. I know it's a bit crazy these days with the coronavirus and all, but thank you so much for taking time to join us today.
Okay.
Right. Let's start with Women of Steel. You know, when I was trying to read about you, the first thing that caught my eye was Women of Steel. I was like, oh, wow. All right. So Women of Steel, let's go to Ditsogo Project. What is that about?
Okay. Ditsogo Project is a company that I started in 2012. It's one of the few women-owned steel engineering and fabrication business. And I'm currently the owner, director of the business, and it's very challenging, but there is so much potential in the business.
I understand that you only employ females as well.
No, I'm still training most of the female boiler makers, but we do have males because there's a lack of skills when it comes to women technicians. But I would love, to have more women in my, fabrication factory.
Right. So this is a steel engineering company. What do you specialize in? What do you guys do?
We specialize in manufacturing the rolling stock for the mining industry. So I have a contract with a few mining companies. We manufacture their underground material handling cars, conveyor structures. So it's mostly male dominated. So you hardly find, women tapping into that industry. So I saw a gap in the market and I
was about to actually ask, like, since you sell it's male dominated, how come you're doing it? How did you get to do that?
Yeah, I just became passionate about the industry and, growing up, I was surrounded by these mining companies where I saw a lot of steel structures. So I realized there's actually a high need, for this fabrication. That's why I did my own research and I decided to just, start up a business in that sector.
So did you have experience in that area, or maybe your training, was it also in engineering, or it's different?
My background is human resource management.
Okay.
But, previously I worked in a company where they're doing steel and domestic welding. But, I just learned on the job and did my own research about the mining sector and the heavy metal fabrication. Although it's high capital intensive, but it's lucrative as well.
Right. So which brings us to the question of so when you had the plan of starting this Ditsogo project, where did the capital come from? Because I'm thinking of engineering and I'm thinking of equipment. Mining, they use this huge, big equipment. How did you get started with the equipment and all to manufacture such?
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough when I started. I had to look for, people who can borrow me some funds, and also, I used a little bit of my personal capital, but then mostly I had to partner with an experienced company that had all the machinery that I needed. So they put me as enterprise development, and it really helped me a lot because I understood the whole operations and all the machines that were required. So it was a good start for me.
Right. So coming with that experience of human resources and connecting with this company, how did they take you? Because I mean, I want to try and understand, like, when you tap into a field that is not yours, even though you've got passion, even though you've got, like that zeal of wanting to do it, will people really believe that, oh, she can deliver, or they have doubts?
But I can say in South Africa, the current mining charter is promoting women to tap into this engineering field. So, and also most of these mining companies are looking for women-owned businesses and local companies. So, I had all the, I was ticking all the boxes. So I was helping this other company which was not transformed. So having me in their business was also a plus for them. So they didn't mind, sharing all the information, and they could see I had the potential. I was young, very, excited to learn. So I was always asking them questions, and I was willing to work even if I didn't get paid any salary for the first 6 months of starting up my business, because I wanted to reinvest in getting my own tools, because I had an exit plan with them to say, if I can learn for 3 years with them, then after 3 years, then I can be on my own. And this is what is happening now. I'm reaping the rewards.
Oh, that's good. But you didn't face like any challenges, maybe family discouraging you or friends discouraging you and stuff, or everyone was supporting for you to do that project?
Oh, there is always challenges. At some point I had to sell some of my furniture just to get going. And, I lost a lot of benefits, medical aid. My kids had to leave, a private school, go to rural schools, just so the business can, become stable. And, some of my family members were like, you need to go and look for a work in government because you have this HR diploma. But I told them I'm very passionate in this, and if you can just support me, the business will be successful. So, yeah, later on they could see that I'm really, persistent, and I really want the business to survive. So they started supporting me. But at first it was very tough. And because I'm coming from a rural village and most of my clients are far, so you have to travel. At first, I didn't even have a reliable car. So I have to rely on friends to take me to the mines in order to deliver my products.
Right. And then I see besides the Toko project, you also have the Temo SME, the coaching mentorship thing. When did that start?
Well, 2018. Mm-hmm. After being selected as one of the most influential people of African descent, right, I realized the importance of sharing information. And I saw many women don't have access to technology, information on where to, to start a business and so forth. So I've decided to start my own nonprofit organization to help women in rural villages to access all these databases and how to tender, and also just to assist them to run businesses efficiently and to comply, because most of us, we are eligible to get support and funding from government, but because we don't have compliance documents and we don't know where to find them. So I've decided, with this Temo SME coach, let me be that voice for other women who can't reach all those government departments to talk on their behalf.
Right. There's something that I've also realized, that you've traveled a lot, but in your traveling, you've been selected by the government to visit places. I know you came to China, to Shanghai, you also went to Peru. How does that selection happen? Do you have to apply, or they pick? How do you get selected to be able to travel under the ministry?
Well, you have to apply, and there's very stringent conditions, like you have to have annual turnovers and projections as to how your business is going to grow, and look for export market. So it was not easy, getting in that group, traveling with the government, but I showed them that my company has potential. If I can get the market, then if there is, too many competition in South Africa, maybe somewhere in Africa or in another part of the country, I can be able to sell my products. So yeah, I applied among 1,000 other people, but I'm very grateful that I got selected. I think it's also mainly because there's quite a few women in this sector. So you find that maybe I'm one of the two who applied. Okay. That's why we end up going. Yeah.
And then I see you've also got plans to actually expand to SADC as a whole. You want to take this, you're exporting to other SADC countries, or is it a plan, or you're doing it now?
Well, it's still a plan. Later this year, if this COVID-19, goes off, I need to go to Rwanda, to Zambia, as well as Mozambique. That's where they need most of my products. But I need to, navigate as to how I'm going to deliver those products. One of the challenges is freight. We can manufacture, but it's very costly. Then we can't compete with those local suppliers there.
Right. And then how is it to be called a fair lady, woman of future? When you're being named a woman of future, man, that's like you're really you're really going ahead. You're not of the now, but you're the woman of the future. So what are we looking at in the future? What are the plans for the future?
It's very exciting. All these awards now, they give you credibility and they open doors, because it's very expensive to do marketing and, just get media exposure. But with these awards, you get free exposure, and also they put so much pressure on you to deliver, because other women now are looking at me to say, we want to see whether her business is going to survive or it's going to fail. So I need to always be innovative, to learn what is the future, the fourth industrial revolution and so forth. So yeah, the future looks bright.
That's good. Okay, so I know you're actually calling us from the phone and your network is not really good. So I'm gonna try and then get to our second part, our second segment, where I want us to tell us who Tebogo is. I mean, now we've understood your projects, your plans and all, but who are you? Where did you come from, and how did your journey, I want you to take us through your journey to success, where you started from.
It's a very long one, but I'll try to be short. Yeah, Tebogo is a young rural, girl. I grew up from a rural village called Maile in Rustenburg. It's surrounded by mining companies, and growing up, it was very hard, challenging. I was raised by my grandparents. So after matriculating, I decided to go to Johannesburg, where there are many opportunities. Right. That's where, now I was exposed to so many opportunities, and then I graduated, and then I worked for corporate HR. While I was working, I met a guy, we got married. Then I'm a mother now, I have 4 kids. So you can imagine being a businesswoman, being a mother, it's very tough. But my upbringing, it was not that easy. I was always faced with challenges where I come from, the infrastructure, bad roads, so we had to walk long distances to go to get, healthcare services. So, but I decided, one day I want to grow up, have my own business, and also support, my community, bring a little bit of change so that people do not have to suffer, even our kids do not have to experience what we experienced previously.
Oh, so is your business in your community right now, or it's somewhere else?
No, it's in town. Unfortunately, because it's in heavy industrial, it has to be in town.
But in the same local area?
Yes, and I do employ, young people from the community.
Wow, that is so nice. So
thank you.
What are the challenges that you really faced when you were trying to move from Rustenburg to Johannesburg, where you studied in Johannesburg, or it was?
Yes.
Okay. So how was it like from that transition?
One of the biggest challenges, Johannesburg is a busy town. So as a rural girl, you had to adapt to, that life. And, at home, there's no technology, there's no internet, there's no Wi-Fi. But, I just had to adapt to the environment, of using taxis and trains. And, it's very fast. So, but I was able to adapt to the change.
Right. So what kept you going? What would you say really kept you going? Because I know, like what you're saying, sometimes that people also come from the rural areas, but when they get to the city life just changes them, and they forget about home, they forget about doing something for the community. They're in that in that zone. What made you kind of hold on to say, you know what, I'm just going to study, I want to go back to my community? What made you stay in that frame of like, this is what I'm going to do?
I think because I grew up from a very religious family, so it kept me grounded. I knew that there's a lot of poverty at home, and they need someone to help them to come out of that poverty. And I wanted to be one of those people. So I just remained focused, and I prayed every day that I don't fall pregnant before I finish, my studies, and then to get a job and all that. Yeah, but, I really tried. It was hard, but I tried to focus.
And what would you
I was very determined.
Yeah, what would you say to a young girl in South Africa, in Rustenburg, or in any rural area who is also maybe going through that, and they are now in the city? Let's focus. They're now in the city, and maybe there's that peer pressure of, some they have to sell themselves, some they have, like to be in the bars and things. What would you tell someone like, because the thing is, what goes on in this life, some people believe like, oh, you know what, where I come from, I'm too poor, I have to do it the fast way. So the fast way will be, maybe I have to sell myself, I have to stand in the street and get money, but not looking or not wanting to look at that slow way. Because you're here today because I consider that you took that slow route that some people might say, oh no, I might not be able to do it, let me try maybe the faster route. So what can you tell a young girl growing up in the rural areas who also has a dream to be one of the women who has, your project, man, is just I always look at your pictures when you're wearing the work suit, and I'm like, wow, So one of these people will be thinking like, I will have to get into this male-dominated field, open my factory that will supply companies all over SADC. But that girl is somewhere in the rural areas, and they're not even seeing that. They don't believe that they'll get there.
Well, I would say to that young person, just focus on your dreams, don't be distracted about any negativity. And, they must always remember, it doesn't matter where you come from in life, you can always be successful. So they mustn't think that being from a rural village, they are less important or somehow. So they must just focus on their dreams and push until, the doors are opened. Because one of the things we want, doors to be open, but you need to push. Some of these doors are closed, because God wants to see how hungry you are. So you need to keep pushing until those doors of opportunities open up for you. And once you are up there, you need to remember other young people who you left at home. So you need to always elevate, those people. So I'm very excited to be on the Elevate with Semi, because I can see you also elevating me.
Yes, that's what it's all about, to try and encourage each other. And now I want you to speak. I mean, you were one of the fast-growing SMEs in South Africa are crowned by the Standard Bank. I want you to now try and speak to that SME. You know, when people are starting the business, like you say that, you know, you have to apply for maybe grants, for bank loans. There's a lot of writing. What about someone who's just starting up? They've got this idea, they're really small SME, but they don't have all these people to help them. Maybe they can't afford to hire people. What advice would you give them? Because some, like, they'll start something and maybe say, oh, this business didn't work out. I don't know if you've seen, there are people that will say, what happened to your business? Oh man, after a year, I just stopped. And it's because of that, like, So what can you tell people? I mean, you've endured, you started this, like, it's been so many years, and you're one of what, fast growing SMEs? You're one of the 20 finalists. So what can a starting person, like a small medium enterprise, someone they've got the idea, they want to do it, but they don't have stuff, what can they do first?
My advice would be they must stop comparing themselves with other companies that are already started and they have all these tools and equipments, because I just focused on my business to say I want my business to be this far. So even though some of my friends were running successful businesses, I didn't want to, just compare myself with them. Otherwise, it was going to drive me crazy. So, imagine I registered my businesses in 2012, but I only started operating in 2015. So you must persevere, because for the whole 3 years, I was getting all my compliance documents. And then I started with a zero balance. I didn't get any loan when I started. So, but within 2 years of operating, I had already turned over 10.8 million rand, which was a good start for SMEs, especially in South Africa, Yeah, but it was because of, my perseverance. And when I was making profit, I didn't spend it on maybe luxury clothing or going to, party with friends and all that. I always put a little bit aside in order to help me with the next order, so that I don't depend on government loan and then I give up on my dream because somebody's not funding my business. So I decided to do that until, even government, they just recently started funding my business. They can see, okay, she's not giving up on her business. When it's struggling, she sells some of the things just to keep the business going. Nice. So they must just persevere.
That's really good. So Rustenburg, where exactly is Rustenburg? Where is it?
Rustenburg is a small town in the northwest province of South Africa. If you know Marikana Massacre, we are not far from Marikana, the Lonmin Platinum Mines. So we are a platinum, town. Oh. And my village is under the Royal Bafokeng community. So the Royal Bafokeng is one of the communities that have, the mining rights, and it's a rich, community, although there is still a high level of unemployment because of lack of skills. That is why, again, I started this team, so that I can coach young people, develop their skills so that we can be employable in our mining community.
Wow, this is amazing. Some people, when they actually get well up or successful, they move away from their community and not want to be associated with their community. But I see that you're doing so much to still remain in your roots, train your community, give them skills, which is something that I really, really admire. And I bet Rustenburg is very, very happy to have you. And I really, really wish you the best. I would love to come and sit to talk. When the first time we met, when I read your profile, I was like, I really want to go and see where this woman is. But You've
Yeah.
with me, so I'm the one who has to return the favor now. I have to.
No, I'm going to invite you very soon. After this COVID-19, you have to come to South Africa
Yes, I have
and
to
just
come
spend
out.
a day with us. Yeah.
Definitely, I would really love to see. This is really amazing. And while we're doing this, we actually trying to encourage young people, especially the youth, right, who might be in the situations that you people who are successful, you people who are in business have actually gone through, because like
Yeah.
I said in my past interview that why I started this, why I went to give a talk with a group of people. We went to give a talk at a school. And the kids there, after the speaker spoke, when I sat down with the young girl, she said to me, Semi, I don't relate. These people don't understand what I've been through. And I was like, tell me, he says, before I go to school, I have to go somewhere to clean, I have to go somewhere and work. And I don't think if this situation goes on, I don't think I'll get so to her it was more like she's not relating to the success story. So my idea for this Elevate was I want those successful people at least to also share their other side that people never get to know, so that people actually then relate to say, you know what, in as much as she owns this, like you, in as much as she owns this manufacturing company, the steel company, she came out from a rural area. She had to go through this. So I think I can also do that, because I felt like our young people were not getting motivated. They were being shown the flashy side, the successful side. That's why most of them now try to run for, like how can I get there fast? So at least if we show them that the road is not easy, in as much as you get there, but it's not easy, and we've been there, we know it, so you can try it. That's the reason why we're doing this. And I actually appreciate everyone coming here to speak to us, you coming to speak to us. I know you're very busy and taking your time, and I know network is very bad where you are, but thank you very much for doing this with me, and I really, really appreciate it. I hope to talk to you in the near future to see how it has expanded to and where you're taking this to.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. That was Tebogo Masitu, the founder of Ditsogo Projects in South Africa. Thank you so much. Please, if you enjoyed the show, do not forget to click subscribe and like the video. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.